Every single day, someone loses a promotion they deserved. Someone gets quietly pushed off a project. Someone gets passed over again for a raise they earned. And the worst part, it has nothing to do with how hard they work. Nothing to do with their skills, their degree, or their track record. It comes down to a few sentences. Just words. Words they said out loud in the wrong room, at the wrong time, without even realizing what they were doing to themselves. You're not losing your job because you're bad at it. You're losing it because of what you said. I've watched talented people get sidelined not because they weren't good enough, but because they didn't understand the unspoken rules of workplace communication. And nobody warned them. Nobody sat them down and said, hey, here's how that landed. Today, I'm going to be that person for you. My name is Berlin, and I spend a lot of time studying workplace behavior, how perception is built, how trust is lost, and how careers quietly collapse from the inside. Not from drama, not from failure, but from small, everyday communication patterns that signal the wrong things to the wrong people. By the end of this video, you are going to start hearing workplace conversations differently. You're going to walk into meetings and understand, like management does, like HR does, exactly what's being communicated beneath the surface. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Quick note before we dive in: this is educational content based on behavioral observation and workplace psychology. It's not legal advice, and every workplace is different. But these patterns, they show up everywhere. The first one is, that's not my job. It sounds fair. It sounds like someone with healthy boundaries, someone who knows their role and isn't going to be pushed around. And honestly, in theory, that's reasonable. But here's what really happens when those words leave your mouth in a professional environment. What they hear is, I am not a team player. I am transactional. Don't count on me when things get complicated. The problem is, in most organizations, the people who move up are the people who move beyond their job description. Not recklessly, not without compensation, but strategically. And when you say, that's not my job, you're not just declining a task. You're defining yourself as someone with a ceiling. Managers document those moments, even informally. They remember who leaned in and who leaned out. And when it's time to decide who gets the opportunity, who gets the stretch project, who gets the title, they go back to those moments. And that's where things go wrong, because the employee thought they were protecting themselves. But what they actually did was remove themselves from consideration. The smart alternative: say, that's not something I am currently handling, but let me understand what you need, and we can figure out the best path forward. You're not agreeing to everything. You're signaling flexibility, and flexibility looks like leadership potential. Let's move to the next one, and this one is even more dangerous because it feels virtuous. I am just being honest. The most dangerous thing you can say at work isn't a lie. It's, I am just being honest. People say this when they think they are being brave, when they are calling something out, when they are standing in their truth. But the second those words come out, the entire conversation shifts. Because I am just being honest is almost always a setup. It's what people say right before they say something that stings, and by preloading it with that phrase, they think they've earned immunity. They haven't. What they hear is, I'm about to be unkind, and I want credit for calling it courage. Psychologically, this phrase signals low emotional intelligence. It tells decision makers that you might create friction in high-stakes situations. It tells HR that you're a liability risk in conflict scenarios. It tells your team that you prioritize being right over being effective. Here's the truth: genuinely honest people don't need to announce their honesty. They just communicate it, directly and professionally. The reframe: if you need to deliver hard feedback, lead with intention. Say, I want to share something that might be uncomfortable, but I think it's important for the project. Same honesty. Zero ego. Completely different landing. Now this is where most people get it wrong. The third phrase is, I already tried that. It doesn't work. This one sounds like experience. It sounds like someone who's been around, who knows the landscape, who's saving everyone time. But inside a meeting room, especially in front of leadership, this phrase quietly brands you as someone who has stopped believing in solutions. What they hear is, I've made up my mind. Don't bring me new information. The problem is that organizations, especially in fast-moving industries, live and die on iteration. What didn't work 6 months ago, with different tools, a different team, or a different market, might work now. And when you shut that conversation down, you're not demonstrating wisdom. You're demonstrating rigidity. Decision makers are always asking one quiet question about their people: can this person adapt? And when you say, I already tried that, you answer that question badly. The smart play. Say, we explored something similar before and ran into some challenges. Here's what we learned. Given what's changed, it might be worth revisiting with a different approach. Now you're not a roadblock. You're institutional knowledge. That's an asset. That's someone worth keeping around. And the fourth one, this one hits differently, because often it's true. I don't get paid enough for this. A lot of people genuinely don't get paid what they are worth. But this phrase destroys more than it expresses. Here's what really happens when you say this out loud at work, even casually, even as a joke. What they hear is, my commitment is conditional. My effort has a ceiling, and I am resentful. Resentment is contagious in teams, and managers know this. Once that phrase is in the air, even once it reframes everything you do after that. Every time you're slow to respond, every time you seem disengaged, every time there's friction, they remember that sentence. And that's where things go wrong. You've now created a story about yourself that you can't easily undo. You haven't negotiated your salary. You've just made yourself look checked out. If you genuinely feel underpaid, that's a real conversation worth having privately, strategically, with data. Say, I'd like to schedule some time to talk about my compensation relative to my current responsibilities. That's power. That's how professionals get paid more without sacrificing how they are perceived in the process. Here's what ties all four of these together, and this is the thing most people never figure out until it's too late. The workplace is not primarily an emotional environment. It's a strategic one. Every conversation, every comment, every offhand remark, it all becomes data. It shapes how people see you. And perception in a professional environment is not soft. It is currency. Your reputation at work isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the small ones, the ones you don't think anyone is paying attention to. Smart employees don't just work hard. They communicate deliberately. They understand that every word either builds or erodes the image of someone who is capable, adaptable, and trustworthy. That's not manipulation. That's professionalism. And now that you see it the way HR sees it, the way your manager sees it, you can't go back to communicating carelessly. Nor should you. If this shifted something for you, hit subscribe, because I put out content like this regularly. And the next one. You're going to want to see it before you walk into your next performance review. I am putting together a video on the subtle warning signs that you're quietly being managed out before you're even told anything is wrong. It's not obvious. It never is. But once you know what to look for, you'll catch it early enough to change the outcome. Don't miss that one.